All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something I think we all desperately need but almost never get, true deep relaxation. We're diving into a technique called Yoga Nidra, and trust me, it's way, way more than just taking a quick nap.
So, I want you to really think about this for a second. When was the last time you felt genuinely relaxed? And I don't mean just, distracted from your stress for a little while. I mean truly, deeply at ease. It's a tough question, right? And that's because, well, maybe our whole idea of what it means to relax is kind of wrong.
Okay, so let's break this down. For most of us, relaxation means crashing on the couch, maybe grabbing a coffee, flipping on the TV. But what we're really doing is just creating sensory diversions. We're distracting ourselves. True relaxation, that's something totally different. It's not about zoning out. It's about zoning in. It's this state of conscious awareness. It's actually a dynamic state where your mind stays present and aware, even while your body is completely at rest. It's a feeling that goes way beyond just your normal senses. And the reason those distractions don't actually work, the reason you can watch TV for hours and still feel wound up, is because modern life has just loaded us up with all this hidden baggage. We're carrying around what yogic philosophy calls threefold tensions. And our usual ways of relaxing, they don't even begin to scratch the surface of this stuff.
So here's what's so interesting. Our stress isn't just this one big blob of anxiety. It's actually got three distinct layers. First, you've got your muscular tensions. This is the physical stuff, right? The tight shoulders, the clenched jaw, we all know that feeling. Then there's emotional tension. This comes from all the push and pull of life. Love and hate, success and failure, all those feelings we push down. And finally, you have mental tension. That's the constant chatter, that whirlpool of thoughts from everything we've ever experienced. And here's the kicker. These are the real root causes behind so many of our modern stress-related problems.
So if collapsing on the couch isn't the answer, then what is? Well, this is where Yoga Nidra comes back into the picture. And believe it or not, the whole thing started with a really fascinating and almost accidental discovery.
But first, what is Yoga Nidra, really? The name itself gives us a huge clue. It comes from Sanskrit. Yoga means union, or like a one-pointed focus, and Nidra means sleep. So put them together and you get this idea of yogic sleep or even psychic sleep. It's this incredible state where on the outside you look like you're fast asleep, but on the inside your consciousness is wide awake and operating on a much, much deeper level.
Okay, so the story goes like this. There was this Swami Satyananda Saraswati, and he had a job guarding a school. Now, every single morning, around 3 a.m., he'd totally doze off while these young boys were chanting their Sanskrit prayers. He's fast asleep. But then, months later, he's at some event and he hears those same chants, and they sound so familiar. He couldn't figure out why, because he'd never consciously tried to learn them, and that's when it hit him. His mind, his subtle body, had learned the entire thing while he was completely asleep.
And this was the huge revelation. I mean, just listen to what he said. Sleep was not a state of total unconsciousness. He realized that even when you're completely out, there's a part of you, a form of awareness, that is still wide awake and totally alert. This single idea became the entire foundation for building Yoga Nidra into a real systematic science for tapping into that hidden part of our consciousness.
So, okay, that's the story. But what is actually going on inside our brains when we get into this state of dynamic sleep? Well, it turns out the science behind it is just as mind-blowing as the story of how it was discovered. Right. Let's talk brainwaves. When you're awake right now, listening to this, your brain is probably buzzing in the beta state. When you're in a super deep, dreamless sleep, it drops down to delta. But Yoga Nidra? It happens in this incredible in-between zone, the alpha state. Think of it as the perfect threshold right between waking and sleeping. This is the sweet spot for deep relaxation, and it's where your mind becomes incredibly receptive.
So the big question is, how do you even get to that alpha state on purpose? Well, the key is a yogic concept called pratyahara. It basically means withdrawing your mind from all the sensory channels. You're consciously unplugging from sight, from sound, from smell, taste, and touch, and letting your awareness turn completely inward.
And one of the main ways to do this is through a technique called the rotation of consciousness. If you've ever done a guided Yoga Nidra, you'll know this. The instructor guides you to move your awareness really quickly from one body part to the next. Right hand thumb, second finger, third finger, and so on, all around the body. The key is you don't actually move a muscle. It might sound really simple, but what this is doing inside your brain is, well, it's pretty amazing.
See, that rotation of consciousness is actually tracing a map inside your brain. It's called the motor homunculus, which literally means little man. It's this neural map where every single part of your body has a specific spot. So when you mentally jump from your thumb to your finger to your wrist, you're actually lighting up and then relaxing those points in your brain one by one. You're systematically relaxing your entire brain from the inside out, and that's what brings on that state of pratyahara.
Okay, so we've covered what it is and how it works. But let's get to the really important part. Why should you do this? What's the payoff? Well, the benefits of this psychic sleep are seriously profound, and they can touch pretty much every single part of your life. And this is really why this all matters so much. This isn't just about feeling chilled out for an hour after you're done. No way. The practice has been proven to counteract stress and all the issues that come with it. It can seriously boost your ability to learn and remember things. It helps manage psychosomatic diseases, that's illnesses caused by your mind. And get this, it can actually help restructure and reform your personality from the inside out because you're working directly with the subconscious. It's a massive tool for real self-transformation.
And if you need one more reason, how about this? Just one single hour of Yoga Nidra gives your body the same amount of physiological rest as 4 hours of normal sleep. 4 hours! This is the secret sauce. This is how so many yogis can function with such incredible energy and efficiency.
And the stories of what this can do are just extraordinary. I mean, there's the famous account of a boy who was taught 11 different languages entirely through Yoga Nidra while he was asleep. Then on the other end of the spectrum, there was a group of really hardened, aggressive criminals who were completely transformed in just 6 days. And they didn't do it by listening to lectures or sermons. They did it just by practicing this deep relaxation. Okay, all of that brings us to what might be the single most powerful, most actionable piece of the entire Yoga Nidra puzzle. Because this practice isn't just about passively relaxing, it's about actively reshaping your mind. And you do this with something called a resolve, or in Sanskrit, a sankalpa.
The best way to think of a sankalpa is like a seed. It's a seed of change. It's a short, simple, positive statement that you plant in your mind while you're in that deeply relaxed state. And remember that super receptive alpha state we talked about? Well, because you're there, this seed can bypass all your usual critical, cynical thoughts and plant itself directly into your subconscious. And once it's there, it can become this powerful guiding force in your life.
And the process for planting it is so beautifully simple. First, you choose your resolve. It has to be short, clear, and positive. Something powerful like, I will awaken my spiritual potential, or I will achieve total health. Then, right at the beginning of the practice, you state it mentally 3 times. That's like sowing the seed. Then you do the whole practice, and at the very end, when your mind is the most fertile, you repeat that exact same resolve again. That's like watering the seed. And the power of this is just, it's hard to overstate. Just listen to this quote. Anything in life can fail you, but not the sankalpa made during Yoga Nidra. I mean, wow. The idea is that when you make a resolve with real intention and you plant it that deep into your subconscious, it coming true is basically inevitable. It literally becomes the creator of your own destiny. And really, that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Yoga Nidra is so much more than just a way to relax. It's a tool for conscious creation. It gives you direct access to the deepest parts of your own mind and lets you plant a seed for the person you truly want to become. So I'll just leave you with this question. If you had a tool this powerful, what seed would you plant? Thanks so much for joining us on The Explainer.